Hello there, New Year 12s. Welcome to TV and Film. My name is Mr. Rose, and hopefully this is the first of many of my YouTube videos that you will engage with throughout the year. I do have a full YouTube channel with a range of different videos for you to use, which I will promote heavily throughout the term. This is your induction to the subject. I will go through the handbook, which you will also be expected to read in the first week having enrolled on the course, and I will try my best to go through that in as much detail as possible. Right, so as I've mentioned, my name is Mr. Rose. I'm the sole teacher on this course, so I will be teaching you for 4 physical hours a week in the classroom, and you will be expected to do 1 additional hour of independent work, referred to as your 5th hour, and I will communicate more about that each week. Mr. Dixon is my head of department. He also teaches media studies and film studies, and those of you who do more than one subject in the department may be taught by him as well. Hopefully you'll never really need to interact with him a great deal. He does come into my classroom quite often and he will be interested to see what you're up to, but usually he will monitor the attendance and attitude and behaviour of students, so perhaps you don't want to meet Mr. Dixon in that capacity. I've got a number of different resources you can use to communicate with me, to engage with, to better yourself on the course. I'm always around to email. You can email me after school at weekends. I will do my best to reply to you, even during half terms, etc. My YouTube channel I mentioned earlier. In fact, I'll give you a quick tour of that at the moment, and I will share this URL with you in due course. A number of different resources depending on what we are doing at any given time. In particular, student exemplar work, which you will hopefully want to watch and be inspired by, because they are quite strong from previous years, and they will be the exemplars I will want to show you for you to then replicate in your own work. I have a Google site, which is a website that I created for you, this subject in particular. There's separate breakdowns for each unit. I will very quickly tour you through that now. And again, I will promote this heavily. Each lesson, there'll be a particular page or resource or PowerPoint or body of text, perhaps even just some bullet points that you will be expected to engage with. And it's quite robust. I've spent quite a lot of time on it in the last perhaps 10 years, accumulating resources that you will then want to use. And I also have a Twitter account which you may want to follow me on as well. It's not quite as urgent, but I will also mention that every now and then. That's the Google site I've just mentioned. The Google site also helps you with literacy issues you may have. It will help you with sentence structure. There are model answers for you to look at, distinction-worthy answers, so you can see the difference between a distinction product and a pass answer. There are glossaries on there for subject terminology that you will want to use in your responses to hit the higher criteria. We also use Google across the entire school. You will already have signed up to a Google username, which is your Gmail account. It also gives you access to Google Classroom, Google Sites, as I mentioned earlier, and more importantly, your Drive, where all of your work and assignments is stored. More on that in your individual subject lessons as they occur. We have a TV studio. You won't use it every single day, all of the time. There will be individual assignments that you will use it in more often than others, and obviously as the course goes on you will be a little bit more familiar with the studio as you spend some more time in it. And I've got a quick video about the TV studio now. Okay, hello there. Welcome to a quick tour of the TV studio. So here's some of the facilities that you can see very quickly. I will tour you through the studio properly in person throughout the rest of this term. That green screen wall on the other side of that is my classroom, and that door there is the door on the corridor next to my classroom. Feel free to pop in at any point and I'll give you a little bit more detailed tour. I'll just turn the camera around. I also have an office in here if you ever need to find me. That's where I'll be. There's monitors which show you what's on screen when we use this TV studio. There's some site maps that students have made in the past to show you some good common layouts of the equipment. We have the field of tripods if you need to borrow equipment. As I said, that's the door to the corridor. There's Daryl from The Walking Dead. There's various bits and pieces of props kicking about depending on the nature of your TV show. Again, some more equipment for you to borrow. This is the room we control the TV studio from. It's called the control room. That's the door from the corridor I've just pointed to. There's another door there. We tend not to use that door just for soundproofing. Obviously, this is the TV studio set up, and you can see the feeds coming from the 3 cameras in the room. And obviously, we would have a vantage point into the studio where we could see what's going on, control the sound and the light from in here. And this is the view from the sofa. So if you were presenting, you would be sitting here on the sofa. You would see the auto cue on that. It's not set up at the moment, but you would also get a preview of yourself in the monitor behind. So there you go, very quick tour of the TV studio. Like I said, feel free to pop in at any time and have a look around. There's no single unit that you use the TV studio unit in. There's opportunities to use it in loads of different assignments and assessments. And there's also TV Studio Club, which you can stay back behind after school, and we could create media products together and have a little bit of fun with that. Okay, back to the induction video now. Okay, continuing with the induction. You are doing a Btec. A Btec is a vocational course, largely more practical than a traditional A-level, but they are equivalent to A-levels in respect to recognition from universities and UCAS points. You are doing the Creative Digital Media Production National Extended Certificate, the new qualification specification since 2016, where they were reformed and controlled assessments were added. And this one is equivalent to 1 A-level. There are internal and external units, which I will discuss now. So your internal units, Unit 10, Film Production, and Unit 4, Pre-Production. They are coupled together in what I refer to as the Netflix Original Project. You are doing this whole project over the course of the 2 years that you were with me. All of your units gear towards this project, where you will make a Netflix original drama, an extract of about 4 to 5 minutes, either individually or in small production groups. You will be expected to conceive this, plan it, script it, film it, and then edit and export. And that will be something we will spend the entire 2 years working towards. Okay, and both of those are internal units. They're handed in by you, evidence put in a particular folder by a particular date with deadlines that are very important in Btec, then marked and verified by me and Mr. Dixon. Those marks are then sent away to Pearson, the exam board, and they verify the results externally. There are external units as well. I mentioned them earlier as controlled assessments. There are no sit down and write in a booklet for 2-hour type exams on my course, but there are controlled assessments which you will need to complete. One of which is called media representations. We do that from the very beginning of year 12 right throughout the year, where you will accumulate all the new media theory that you need for the course, which will bleed into your coursework units, the Netflix original unit I've just mentioned, and also the screen-based exam that you do at the end of year 12. There's a second controlled assessment called responding to a commission. I will talk more about that in year 13, but in short, you get some sort of brief and you respond to that in test conditions, and that occurs in the January of year 13. We then return to the Netflix original unit and film and edit that before you leave at the end of year 13. This is a rough indication of the assessment plan for the first year. You will have 4 hours a week in the classroom with me, in addition to that 5th hour I mentioned earlier. We will split those hours up. We will do some theory for the exam in some of those hours, and we will do some coursework evidence for the internal units in the other hours. And that's a rough indication of how that will go for the first year. In the second year, as I mentioned, we will split our time between the controlled assessment and finishing the filming and editing of your Netflix original. Internally assessed units are marked by me. They are graded as a pass, which is the lowest you can get above a fail, a merit, which most times out of 10 is an average secure response. You can get a few merits every so often, but not too many, otherwise your grade will level out at a merit, and distinctions, which are the best. Basically think of them as A's and A stars. You do need to show consistency in a Btec, and as such you need to get all 3 distinctions in any given unit to get a distinction in that unit. You don't have to get a distinction in every single unit throughout the whole year, but more often than not, the more distinctions you get, the better chances, your average of getting a distinction at the end of the year. The assessment record sheet is perhaps referred to as a certificate, maybe, that at the end of every assignment will tell you what you have got in that particular assignment. You'll get an assessment record sheet at the end of every deadline, and it will tell you what criteria you have and have not got. And perhaps a small comment from me to help you fix that in what is referred to as a resubmission, where you do get one opportunity to resubmit every assignment, should you need it. Please don't rely on resubmissions too often, because you'll find yourself doing the resubmission of the last assignment while everybody else is doing the first submission of the next assignment, and it will eventually spiral out of control. Okay? The rest of the induction I will want you to read yourself. It refers to, in particular, the declarations and malpractice that you will need to be aware of. Basically, plagiarism and the fact that this work is your own. And you do need to agree to this as a student as part of your contract, which you will sign during enrollment, and that you will need to be held accountable for throughout the entirety of your time with us.